Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Insightful Accountant webinar. Client Advisory Trends Every Accountant Should Know About in 2021, presented by Joe Lacayo, sponsored by Rippling. Insightful Accountant is an online news and information source written for small business advisors interested in the latest news and offerings in accounting technology. My name is Emily Hedrick, and I will be your webinar host. If you have any questions during the session, please enter them in the Q&A box, and we'll try to address them. Everyone will receive a follow-up email later today with the recording and presentation. Today's speaker is Joe Lacayo. He is the lead channel account executive at Rippling and has spent his career working with entrepreneurs as they move through growth milestones. In previous roles, Joe supported Xero's National Accounting Partners growth as they scaled. Currently, he co-founded Contabi Alliance, an international community of Latino accounting business leaders built on tech and collaboration, and an active member of the Accounting Salon, a group of cloud accounting leaders committed to innovation within the industry and generosity of spirit. Joe is excited to serve as an internal advocate for every accounting professional while supporting their continued growth. Thank you, Joel, for being with us, and when you're ready, you can get started.
Wow, thank you for the introduction. That was awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about today's topic. I think this is something that every single account that's out there has thought about and has seen the shift happening in the last few years, ever so more in the past year with things happening. So today we will be discussing trends that you as an accountant should know about in 2021 as the year already started. So to begin with, these are some of the things that we'll cover today. We'll discuss those advisory services and how they continue to evolve and as they started a few years back and how they're continuing to change and shift as time progresses. We'll go and we'll dig really deep into 4 trends that we see from the Rippling perspective that we're going to continue to be added and modified within time, and how you can address those as a trusted advisor to your client base and the people that you're serving. And then directly go into how Rippling itself can help you achieve and kind of address those trends and stay ahead of the curve as they occur, and finalize things off with some Q&A. So any of those burning questions that you may have, I'd love to talk through those and answer them at the end. I know Emily's going to be on the background, just kind of gathering those questions and going. And this is meant to be an engaged conversation and sharing of these trends. So I'm really interested to kind of hear your perspective as we go through these trends as to if you've seen them, how you've seen them, and how you guys are currently addressing them. But as we started and as we know, thank you, Rippling, obviously, for sponsoring this particular presentation. If you don't know Rippling, get to know Rippling, ask for a demo, like learn about us and take some time to really learn about this new modern tool. Rippling is truly the first comprehensive employee management platform that is useful for scaling businesses, whether they're at 1 to 1,500 different employees. Rippling covers all spectrums of the needs for an employee management, from payroll, HR, document management, benefits administration, to hardware and IT. We handle it all in one place, all from an online portal, cloud-based, so that you stay secure, efficient, and able to continue to add revenue to your threshold. We make it easy to scale up for clients because we use and we offer some easy to use and powerful tools like new state registrations through the PEO offering that we have as Rippling, being able to do multi-state calculations within the state pay run, commonly referred to as multi-tax jurisdiction, customized GL integrations through QBO, Xero, Intact, and NetSuite, as well as a custom report builder that brings in data not just for payroll, but also for HR, benefits, and hardware, and everything that Rippling captures, inclusively adding some great features like job codes that are well for the construction and nonprofit entities as well, and much, much more in terms of features. First things first, let's discuss this trend. Let's discuss advisory services or client advisory services. When you hear this term in the market and in conferences now virtually as they are, they usually come about that every single person has a different definition, has a different understanding of what CAS or client advisory services actually means to businesses and to our accounting industry as a whole. What we see, and it's something to consider, is from you guys, let's ask you the first question. which of these areas are you most interested in investing in to boost your firm's client advisory services? Is it on the payroll and GL front, growth advisory front, or process automation? We'll give you guys a few seconds to answer those as we go about. Well, it's not letting me vote, so we're gonna wait until a few of you more finish the voting process, and then once that's done, we can get into this conversation about what truly it is to be able to do that. Great, thank you guys for voting, and thank you for sharing your perspective. How we see client advisory services, how you're most likely seeing it from the accountant's perspective, is really from a couple of tiers. So most of you focus your attention on the financial strategy of your business or the business model of services that you're offering. To us, this means some payroll and GL conversations where you're doing some setup or doing some conversations about reconciliation, structuring, financial reporting. And most of the time, if you're really getting into the weeds, you're doing more what we call technology or process automation. This is when you're setting up systems on their behalf, not just the connection to their GL through their payroll, but also potentially other applications, or even if for some of you more modern accounts out there or technologists, you're using things like Zapier or Zaps to be able to facilitate the onboarding, the engagement letters, and everything else that needs to go associated to that. This third tier, which you see on the bubble called business consulting, this third tier is really where a lot of accounts do naturally. You're doing this already. You're having conversations, you're consulting with your business, but it's typically around your GL and payroll or process automation, right? How to streamline the information that's coming into the system, how to not do just receipts in your pocket and then hopefully have a trend to them, but actually automate like scanning those or taking a picture of them and having those automate on the back end. Where we want to focus our attention to and what really we feel that accounts, how they become client advisors and really take advantage of the client advisory services that we're going to be discussing is when they start implementing growth advising to their conversations. So what do I mean by growth advising? This is when you're considering several different factors or environments as part of your consultations with your business owners. So not only are you asking where those receipts are, when they want their financial reporting, but you're also considering the environmental and the economical impacts that are outside of their realm. For example, COVID, how things have changed their environment, how they're able to process their services or their products. This is part of the growth advisory services and conversations that most of us are already having. And we'll discuss how you can continue to build this out. So we feel as Rippling that how and when you're ready to provide or as providing client advisory services is when you're truly merging this growth advisory along with the process automation conversations and the basic payroll and GL integration conversations and setup. And when you put these together, it brings together to have these client advisory services models that are out there. Now, these are 4 trends that we're going to discuss one by one that you should really pay attention to and really use as leverage or as an opportunity to communicate and attract your clients and engage them for further conversations on additional services, which then leads to your send on additional revenue associated to that. The accountant's increased role as a growth advisor is seen on a day-to-day basis. We all know this. You've seen accountants be more and more valued, asked to do more things. In fact, most businesses seek their accountant first, whether they're setting up a bank account, whether they're applying for insurance, or anything related to money or currency, they're going to go to their accountant first. But this also takes into consideration that employers have rising benefits costs that are coming into place. So this is conversations that are leading that you are possibly even starting out. There's new models like PEOs that are out there that customers want to know more information about, or they've heard buzzwords information about, and they want to know what your opinion is, what your recommendation is, what you know about them. There's also things like employee onboarding, right? So now maybe one of your businesses received a funding round, or possibly their product is taking off and they're selling more than they thought, and now they have to increase their employee count. How do I do that? Am I doing it right? Can I just take a picture, scan it, and put it in a manila folder, then lock it away in a nice silver IKEA cabinet with a small little lock? Is that my process? So they're going to you, and you're seeing this increase in activity and conversations that most of the time Small business owners are directing and they're going to you, and you have to be reactive to that. How Rippling helps with this is no matter what life cycle a business owner is in, Rippling is a good fit for you and your system to use to be able to run effectively and efficiently any of these particular situations. But as we go to the second trend, the long-term impact of remote work and how businesses fundamentally operate, we really see that there's movement that is happening. And when there's more movement, for example, people are moving remotely. So there's a lot of your businesses most likely that either have to shut down, reduce their workforce, and some have even increased their workforce. And some, more likely than not, instead of having them come in directly to a retail space or a brick and mortar location, they're actually now working from home, whether that be in a different state because economic challenging times moved them to a different state, or maybe they have to work from a different part of the state that you're in right now. No matter what that is, there's a lot of movement happening with employees and businesses that are out there. And this long-term impact is of the remote environment is really changing the way that businesses are operating. Collecting documents for these new employees that are remote. How is that done today? It's no longer where they just go into the office, let me get your passport or your ID, let me scan it, let me make a copy and then save it away. How are you doing that right now? How are you making life easier for the employees that are going to be hired by these employers that you're servicing? How do we engage them and create a better life cycle? So this is one trend that's coming up with different topics that we're going to discuss. The third trend that we see is how to build an employee experience that really increases talent retention. So when you find that talent, more so than ever before, it's just so important to retain that talent or that individual person or contributor to your team. So how are you able to do that? We're going to see how retention is the number one thing that HR leaders are employing back nowadays. And really, we want to discuss how benefits plays a key role in being able to retain talent within your employees. And the final trend that we're going to be discussing today is we're going to look at a deeper understanding of technology and its landscape beyond just hearing buzzwords like AI, right? Because or cloud-based. What do those really mean? We'll talk about automations, about workflows, and we'll have a nice little conversation about best of breed versus an all-in-one. Which one should I choose and how to go about doing that? So first off, let's discuss this accountant's increasing role as a growth advisor and how that actually is impacting you today. So nowadays, when you discuss this, do you really think yourself, or have you ever considered yourself as a growth advisor? Or how do you position yourself as a growth advisor for your clients? Well, here are some things that you should be thinking about. Nowadays, business goals seem to continue to grow and to shift on a regular basis due to the several outside factors that are out of their controls as a business owner, such as COVID and law changes like the PPP that came about that really quickly passed and then have to be delayed in terms of clarification, right? Every one of you have dealt with that. So what we do and what I've seen in 2020 in terms of these changes is that with the shift in remote and the shift in all these law changes, we immediately had to scramble about and kind of put some band-aids in place to make sure that we had this like nice flow or bridge between what the future is going to look like. Well, now we're in that future. 2021, we're already there. This is now a normality where many businesses are actually seeing the remote life being the norm. So how are you helping your clients align with their goals? What are you doing to help them achieve those set goals? How often do you have these conversations, right? Depending on the size or the growth point that your firm is today, it's really something that you have to consider about the capacity and the efficiency that you're running with the multiple clients to be able to do that. Are you discipline agnostic, right? So are you only dealing with a certain vendor or a certain platform or a certain trend, or are you looking to really expand that out? Are you enabling yourself to really have elevated conversations besides just the basic financial reporting or forecasting or templatizing how your information is going up or down or plus or negative or percentage of growth, and really digging deep into understanding what the strategy for that business that you're discussing it is? Are you actively positioning yourself as a growth advisor through these conversations? Are you discovering new pain points and asking these questions? These are really things that one should be thinking about nowadays. we wanted to provide you some really conversational starting points, right? So these are some questions that you can start posing not only to yourself prior to your meeting with your clients, but proactively talk to them and schedule some appointments to kind of do the discovery chats that I'm talking about. Some ideas that you can think about asking is remote work's long-term impact and how business is operating for them directly, right? If you know that they've had to shift somebody to a more remote working experience, ask them, how is that going? What are some of the challenges that you're having? Do you think that we can streamline some things? Talk to me about the situation with that employee. What challenges are you having? Getting to know their experience allows you to better understand where they see their pain points so that then you can provide solutions to kind of fill those gaps or alleviate that. Another idea of topic of conversation with your business clients is how do you increase the employee retention right now through a stronger employee experience? How are we doing that right now? How is your culture right now? What are you doing to keep that activated? And additionally, another conversational piece that we should really be discussing is for really how to lower the operational expenses that a business owner is doing. And how do you do that is through several ways. We feel that the most efficient and best way for you to focus on that is by automating the manual process that is the documentation, the changes, the transitions with technology that's out there that allows you to remove that manual work so that you can focus on these communication things that are more important so that you can dig deep in the business strategies of things. The second trend that we were discussing is remote work's long-term impact on how business operates. Well, the remote work life is impacting your clients whether you see it or not. Whether it's impacting them directly because they have multiple employees that are going remote or they've asked for remote, or indirectly because they're going to be hiring people in the near future. And those individual prospects are seeing other businesses or your competitors offering remote opportunities to work within the field. So it's impacting every part of an employee's life cycle, and we need to be ahead of the curve and addressing this with each client proactively instead of reacting to a client reaching out to us about a new employee that just got hired in a different state. And hey, by the way, we need state registrations. How are you handling that, right? So let's discuss this a little bit further. As we talk about this, the remote life, as it's happened a few years ago through this 2021, is really been shifting it in the way that you're hiring new employees. How is that taking place right now? These changes are happening pretty quickly and shifting the manner in which that you're applying not only the documentation for collection, but also how that process looks from the employee's perspective and the employer's perspective. So hiring employees, not only just setting up a post on Craigslist or on Indeed or any other job posting era, it's also about the evaluation, being able to interview them and meet them, not just over the phone, maybe through a virtual session. How are you organizing all of that and keeping tabs to make sure that we're giving them a peek into how structurally sound this particular business is? The second piece of that is developing virtual onboarding processes, right? So this is a way for your business clients to actually stand out without having to lift a lot in terms of like heavy load. How are they presenting this virtual experience for these remote employees that are going to come on board so that they can see that you as a business owner or your clients as business owners can actually manage them virtually and be successful? The third is building an engaging employee experience. So not only is the onboarding and the initial influx of the prospects coming in or candidates coming into the business, it's how do you continue to engage them and how do you continue to attract the culture and be able to share the culture that's associated with your company, your branding, so that they feel that they're a part of the team, even though they're not physically there present. And fourth, it's developing virtual offboarding processes. We need to make sure that we close the loop when possible. So if you have access or you're providing licenses or user provisioning for applications to make their job sound, when they're leaving the company, are you making sure that that is completed? Are you making sure that that laptop or that hardware or that accessory that you provided to them to be successful in their role, that that was returned, that you know what happened to it? So there's these operational things that you need to consider, that how do you manage it virtually and take pride in what you're doing so that your business owners can focus on other things. And that's really the consultative piece that you're offering as a growth advisor, as an advisor to your clients, is being able to tackle these problems and discuss them proactively with each one. Hiring more remote employees is not something that's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. You might have a small group of clients that are still in person, but the majority of the businesses that are springing up, that are created, that are continuing to build out, have set now parameters that remote life is here to stay. A Gartner survey of company leaders found that 80% plan to allow employees to work remotely at least part of the time in their roles after the pandemic, and that 47% will allow employees to work from home full time. This just shows that many companies, small and large, are taking remote life and they've seen the production that can be taking place in these employees. So a question that you should ask yourself or your clients, and that they most likely are asking themselves, is this remote experience going to be for me long term? Am I taking advantage of it? How am I going to manage it along with everybody else? So an example is, one implication of more remote employees is more state registrations and paperwork. How many of you actually love doing state registrations? Nobody. Aside from a couple of states, most state registrations are tenuous. They take a long time. It's contacting your state, and most of them have been overrun, especially in 2020 when remote life happened even to a greater degree. So what services are out there? What can you take advantage of that allows you and allows your business owners to actually do the state registrations as another thing that's less cumbersome for them to do? Now, that was one of the questions that we wanted to bring up. What percentage of your clients right now are considering a shift to partial or full remote? Most of the times, clients are not even thinking about this, but if you're having these questions come up, or as you know your clients, think about them, like what their business structure is, the industry that they're serving. So what percentage of your clients are currently considering a shift to partial or full remote? I'm gonna take advantage of a water break.
We'll give you guys just a few more seconds to get your votes in.
Thank you. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for participating on that. I mean, that's going to help me to better understand the group. But now that you've kind of seen and you understand that the remote life is here to stay, now we're going to be hiring and onboarding those remote employees. I would assume that many business owners that are out there, like I mentioned earlier, they're probably putting a paper clip and like tape kind of process on how to do virtual sessions and do onboarding. And now they probably got a good way of doing it, but it's still not the most efficient way. So they're going to be seeking to you, or they would appreciate you reaching out to them as their advisor, as this trusted professional, to be able to have these conversations on how to onboard them. But virtual onboarding also brings in new challenges. A study by Gallup found that only 12% of employees strongly agree that their organization does a great job of onboarding new employees. That means that the first impression that you give them past the initial candidates screening, this onboarding experience of being able to have the tools that they need, the hardware that they need, access to the different resources that they need from the get-go, only 12% of employees feel that their company is doing it right. Now, the question to ask your employers and your business clients is, do you feel that you're doing it right? Have you asked your employees or your recent hires if they're doing it, if you've done it right? And how can we do it better? Remote work has disrupted onboarding processes in several ways, not just in the document collection and verification of those document process, but also in the device management, where you're actually providing them now a laptop or hardware. Because instead of having them come into your office or come into their businesses with their computers to work, these employees have to work from home or from different locations. So managing and keeping track and mitigating the risk to not only the devices, but also the application management with all the user provisioning and licenses for us to be productive, all that has become a challenge for many businesses that are out there. How are you doing it? So some great questions to ask your clients about remote work to allow these or open up some conversations. So remember, keeping these questions open-ended so that they can, so you can instill more communication between you two is, how are you setting up your remote employees for success currently? It opens up a big bag. You might know the process right now that they're doing, but this just allows them to really think through regarding the remote employees that they're having. Another question to bring up is, what processes are in place right now for onboarding new employees or offboarding ones that are just don't fit anymore or are moving on? A third one, you can dive into specific areas like document collections. Talk about how you're collecting documents through a Manila folder, or is it just through a Dropbox? Or maybe you're using Google Docs or Google Drive securely to save those documentations. Discuss the sending of computers. How are you managing that right now? Do you go to FedEx or UPS to send that out? Do you order it directly from the company and goes to the employee's home? How does that process look like? How do you manage it? Is it through a spreadsheet? And when you set up the accounts on the software, what are you doing that? Where are you doing that right now? And how do you track the users that's been in place? A follow-up question to this is, as you're thinking about this, what percentage of your clients are prepared to permanently shift to remote? We've discussed that the remote life is here to stay, but think about this based on conversations you may have or are planning to have with your clients. How many of them are prepared to permanently shift to remote?
Give you guys 10 more seconds. Looks like most people do not know.
Yeah, which is, I think, the reason why they're also joining this webinar, right? I think opening up this conversation is something that is going to allow you to know. And what if you take something from this webinar is not only these trends are active and alive, but rather it's one of those looking inside yourself as a business owner and seeing that you can have a larger impact on your clients by bringing up these conversations because they're thinking about it and they're hearing it from friends or colleagues or other business owners. And this is your opportunity to come to the forefront as a trusted advisor for them to help them succeed in life. How can rippling help? So we've discussed these trends of the remote life experience, how the shifting in atmosphere and economic times have really propelled businesses to get strapping in a different way and kind of really quickly shift their way of operating, and how your role could be as an advisor to be able to understand these shifts and understand the pain points to then deliver. Well, rippling on the device management on the virtual onboarding can actually ship and set up devices for your new hires with the click of a couple of buttons. Through our hardware management, you can actually go through Apple, order the device, get sent directly to the employee's home prior to their start date, have all the applications ready to go. So on day one, they're hitting the ground running. We provision new employees with the right software applications at their access level based on the department or the location that they have access to, so that we can increase the ability that they have from the first day of employment. Now, trend number 3, how do we increase employee retention through a stronger employee experience? Because now we've seen that remote life is here. So we have to attract that talent to come on board and make it nice. And now we're doing this onboarding and making sure that these virtual sessions for onboarding and remote experience is actually being addressed. And the third section that we're going to discuss is the retention of these. Employee retention, from what we've seen in stats, is the number one priority that many of our HR leaders are actually discussing and sharing with us. In fact, 87% of human resources leaders have placed their employee retention attempts as their number one priority for the next few years, based on Tiny Pulse's research. The reason? Well, we should know this. The cost of replacing an employee can range from 50% to 400% of their annual salary. And that's we got a reference from talent management and HR. So obtaining an employee for a company, a great employee, costs a lot of money. Now, retaining or losing them and having to rehire them costs us even more money. So we need to figure out ways that we can retain these great talents. Now, one way that we've seen that a lot of businesses have been able to retain talent is really by focusing themselves on benefits. Benefits has a huge impact on employee retention. 50% of US adults with employer-sponsored health benefits said that whether or not they like their health coverage is a key factor in deciding to stay at their current job. That comes from the Society of HR Management. But in the same study, 82% cited rising costs as the main source of dissatisfaction with their benefits packages. And I'm sure you as accountants can relate to this, right? You probably have a nice group of clients that are out there that you feel they should be able to offer benefits. And when you've discussed it or they've looked at it on their own, they saw that it's a deal breaker when they discuss the pricing associated to that, the fact that the plans that are being offered to them as a smaller group in benefits is just not as appealing. So it really prevents a lot of their employees from signing up. And if employees don't sign up, then there's no plans. So this is something that we really need to discuss with our clients. Now, enter the PEO model in terms of benefits. If you have not heard what a PEO is a professional employer organization. They help small businesses by outsourcing HR, payroll, benefits administration, and compliance work for those businesses as they get going. This is a separate benefits model that you really need to know and consider, and even potentially present to your clients as a potential option. Most importantly, these PEO models can lower the client's benefits cost while giving them access to richer benefits packages that they currently don't have. 15% of all employers with between 10 and 99 employees use a PEO currently. That's from the National Association of PEOs. What are some of the reasons that you should consider a PEO for your clients? Well, first of all, it could take away the HR busy work like compliance, payroll, and state registration forms off of your plates and off of your clients' plates. Most of those times, these particular activities or work are non-revenue generating for you as a business. So this will eliminate some of the time that you're doing, a lot of the time that you're doing, not receiving revenue, and focusing your time and being able to have these more strategic conversations with your business on how to help them expand and grow. Because as they grow, the revenue potential grows for you too in terms of the services that you can offer through CAS. Not only that, another reason to consider a PEO for your clients is that it lowers benefits costs. Customers on the Rippling PEO save an average of $1,775 per employee per year. That's a huge savings that you should be discussing with your client on a regular basis. And the third point to consider is that a PEO increases employee retention because clients on a PEO see 10 to 14% lower employee turnover as a whole. So these are some great points to consider as you're discussing with your clients a potential of why they should be going into a PEO model. Solution that we're offering through Rippling is that we are able to cater to clients no matter what stage of the business they are, whether they're having needs on basic payroll and HR and IT, or more advanced payroll opportunities or needs. We have the solution for them. In fact, Rippling is also a PEO provider, so we're able to offer them a PEO model from them as an option as well. We are the first modern PEO offering that you can easily toggle on and off from. So whether a business starts to outgrow our PEO model and then are looking for open source or open market or free market or third party market to get benefits, we're able to work with them and still retain the technology on the back end of processing HR and payroll and everything else. You get access to better benefits, access to compliance like SUDA, access to employment risk support, and even HR guidance through our PEO model as well. The fact that you're able to offer PEO services to your client's potential, it allows you to create new revenue streams by offering this as an option to your clients. Why? Because it allows you to expand on the advisory service that we've been discussing, the modern PEO solution, the all-in-one HR IT solution, and even some services that your clients aren't even thinking about because they're either too big or too small because they haven't considered it, or maybe they're serving specific industries, or they have complex needs. These are ways that you can identify needs and holes or gaps that your clients have and how you can use a company like Rippling to address them. The fourth thing that you have to consider is lowering the operational expenses by automating manual processes with modern technology that's out there. And this is where conversation comes into play. Like, so what do I select for, right? There's so many tools out there. I have this conversation. So should I be looking at an all-in-one solution that can cater to everything? Or should I look at a best of breed, right? So plug and play and kind of get, like the Frankenstein approach where I'm grabbing a little bit of everything and trying to make it work and stacking it together. Which is better? Well, the reality is that there's pros and cons to each way that you search at. If you're looking at the all-in-one solution, yes, you're going to get one single system that you can unify everything and have all the administrators and employees all in one place. It all fully integrates, hopefully, with higher data accuracy. And it's also a single place for support issues to kind of put together and be placed. So there's stronger reporting because you're having everything cumulatively going into one place. But the con to that is that it just takes longer to implement, right? It's a lot of pieces in one system, so you want to make sure that they work properly, that they're, if one clicks, the next one clicks, the next one clicks, that the process is working right. And typically some of your businesses outgrow some of the functions that you need to scale, right? They might have a very, very basic time and attendance or time tracking module, or they may have a very basic onboarding what is collecting of the basic information, but you can't do notices, you can't do employee handbooks, you can't do a lot of things associated to it. And they also typically an all-in-one it's really hard to switch on and off of them because everything is tied to one system. So they make it really difficult for you to leave the system to something else if you want to go through a best of breed process. Then you consider best of breed. Well, there's some great things to best of breed. They're very specialized. They're specialized solutions specifically on support and training for the industry because they're built for that industry. They also have typically quicker implementations because they understand the methodology or the industry needs associated to that. And they make it really easy for you to switch because there's not many components attached to it, right? There are not very many sticky products to it to make it there. But the cons to this is that you have to manage multiple logins to manage insecurity risks because you're not just having one system where you're jumping into, you're possibly having 10, 12, 13, 15 different systems with each their own different logins that you have to continuously go in and out of to make sure that all the information is secure. They also don't integrate many of the times with all the systems. So because they don't really push data back and forth and they don't share that information associated to that, then it makes it a lot harder for you to share that information amongst the system. And on top of that, you're just going to have to manage multiple vendors that's associated to that. So there's numerous people that are involved that you have to associate with sales and process and management along with that. So Joel, I guess the question comes up is what do I choose? Who do I process associated to that? Who do I choose, the best of breed or the all-in-one solution? And the answer is always going to be it just depends. It depends on the company and how they're evaluating things. And it really depends on what you're doing. But what you want to focus your attention on is, does it improve my accuracy? Is it able to connect within other systems? And so it eliminates the needs for spreadsheets or manual data entry because all of that increases the human error. So first off is one thing that you want to ask the system that you're considering, whether it is all in one or a best of breed. Can you improve my accuracy? Can you eliminate this manual process that I have or processes that I have so that I can have a little cleaner, more information on a better rate? The second thing that you want to look at when you're considering a system that's an HR system or an all-in-one is it easy to use? Do you have a demo that I can provide? Am I able to manage one system easier than I'm managing multiple systems at once? For both the employer's perspective and also the employee's perspective, right? Because there have to be two different views. And thirdly is how powerful is your reporting or what data can I actually sort and manipulate and present on, right? So ask about the powerful reporting features that they have. Is this all in one system? Do they generate more data, but doesn't really allow you to be sophisticated in how you manipulate that data or put it together? How are you able to do that? Today's tech landscape, for the most part, for the bigger players, they really have you sacrificing, and it forces you to sacrifice some things or somewhere and not really have everything. You have like ADP and Paychex and Paycoms that are out there that are powerful systems, yet they still focus on manual work process where you have multiple logins. They have different systems that really don't talk to each other, even though they're under the same umbrella, and they just end up being inefficient. Versus more of the automated processes that are out there, like Augusta or Zenefits or Namely, where they automate a lot of the processes. They lack enterprise grade features. So the complexities of business that come up, they just really can't handle those situations, and their UIs are limited in the way that they're able to address those. So legacy all-in-one systems, like I was mentioning, they just have a fundamental flaw. They're disconnected. They don't speak to each other. So as you need to pay people or make contribution changes to 401k, or get raises as mid-pay period promotions come by, or maybe even have to move to remote locations and have to make sure that you follow and have the withholdings correctly, they just don't talk to each other. Modern automated systems are built to support one type of company, which is tech startups. So aside from being able to do that, the modern ones that we discussed, they just don't support the hourly work hours properly with proper time frequency or more comprehensive amounts. They don't process job codes accurately. They fail to do the ACA reporting automatically and electronically. They have limited permission structures, and they really have limited admin functionality in terms of roles that are needed for many of your businesses that have several layers in terms of who is doing the work and why. And the reporting capabilities tend to be really weak because there's not a lot of data that's placed into the system that you could sort out. So 3 things that you should consider and the capabilities that you should take into consideration when you're evaluating modern all-in-one technologies. First, does it automate the processes across the entire businesses, or is it only during 1 or 2 modules? Look into the processes that involve spreadsheets and handoffs between teams directly within each business. Employee onboarding, open enrollment, promotions, anything of that nature. How do they address that? Secondly, artificial intelligence is just not enough. It's not enough to just say it's recognizing something. Think more tangibly in terms of how much time you are saving through automation. This is that ROI that you should be considering for each business, right? How much time am I removing in terms of busy work from my employer so their employees so that they can be successful as well? How much time am I giving back to this employer to bring in more revenue, to fine tune the organization, to continue to build culture? This is what automation is actually able to offer you. Number 2, do you have strong integrations with other best of breed vendors if I want to continue to expand? According to a report from the IDC on unlocking collaboration that was released last month, organizations with 6 or more integrated applications see a 75% increase in productivity. And I think we all see that. All of us in our own personal lives and also our firms, we're seeing that as we build in tools properly and we use them and they work together, it allows us to be more productive and allows us to be better at what we do. This is one of the reasons why you're listening to this session today. You're looking to get modernized tools and think differently of how you're operating your firm to be more successful, to be leaner in the way that you're operating. So no, all-in-one system, not any all-in-one system is going to be perfect at everything. That's just not the case. So once your client needs specialized solutions based on their industry, these solutions or these best of breed vendors, they need to be able to play nice with other vendors based on or via a strong API integration. Now, what does strong API integration mean? And let me be clear, a lot of companies, when you discuss an integration, we're not talking about here being able to do an import export. That is not an integration. We're discussing a two-way sync where data is shared and can be acted upon from both systems. So whether you're in one system or the other, when you make a change, both systems actually share that information or that change and get updated. An example is in Rippling, our 401k integration with human interest allows you to actually set the 401k deductions in Ripple's payroll, and then it automatically sends through our API all the deduction data to human interest's platform after each payroll is run. That's two-way sync. Provisioning and deprovisioning of accounts where you can actually, through a new employee, update or add a new license to your employee. And that this API also allows to do single sign-on to reduce the security risk. So you know your employer and your employees can actually sign on from one place and it's all secure because data is super sensitive. The third thing to consider is when you're evaluating these platforms is fit for any business type. Are they truly a fit for all my business types? Or are they more like these modern all-in-ones where they focus solely on startup and tech and that's it? So they don't have the ability, or you have to MacGyver everything else to fit the industries that you have based on hourly needs or international contractors, or maybe they're too small or too big to enterprise to fit. Well, can your clients grow into the system? Or better yet said, can your clients continue to scale at the rate that they are and keep that same platform throughout their whole growth process? Finding a system that actually scales with your client's growth from 2, 3 employees all the way to over 1,000 employees eliminates the time-consuming switching from one platform to another conversions that we all know happen most of the time now when we're looking at different systems as our customers continue to grow. We all have that client that has 5 employees and then everything shot up and all of a sudden they have 25 and they have to start looking around of how they're doing onboarding. Then they go to 50, then they're considering benefits, ACA reporting, new states potentially that they're doing. These are things that are going to come up with your scaling business. So ask the question for the platform, can they fit the growing need of your businesses? Are the features built for hourly employees like time tracking, job codes, and ACA reporting? Do they manage that? Are they able to do that? Because as businesses grow, these these features are needed. And are their features really built to handle international payments? So are businesses going to be able to hire 1099 international contractors and get paid through the system? Or do I have to do that separately? Do I have to log into another system or do it in another way, thereby again, reducing the efficiency for this particular business? Other important enterprise grade level features that you should consider as your clients grow is, does it have a custom report engine where you can actually get any data in the system that combines HR and payroll together so I can see a true report? Is it seamless in the integration through the GL, through my QuickBooks Online file or my Xero file, even my NetSuite and my NetSuite file as well, or Intacct? Can I do automatic multi-state taxation? Because more and more employees are going to different states and I need to process that. Does it have a robust approval chains of permission and structures for administrators? Because we know that aside from just revenue look, what makes a business more complex is that permission tiers that we need to associate where there are several people or multiple people that need to go through an approval process. Does the system that you have right now or are evaluating, can it handle? So those are some things that really you have to consider as we talk about the trends. So you must have loved the information. You're still here, and I hopefully it resonated with you a lot. It gave you some talking points to consider. But I think the thing that gets into your mind after you kind of let this all sink in is, okay, Joel, that makes sense. Remote life is changing. There's a lot of advisory opportunities in terms of building out my revenue and my service line for my business. But what's next? What's my next step as a firm? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are looking for you to really evaluate your firm through a CAS self-assessment. So evaluate your firm from the perspective of, am I doing or am I really actively using client advisory services to benefit my firm? We've actually created a very handy self-assessment worksheet that you can use to gauge how these pillars that we discussed in the beginning in terms of client advisory services, how you should focus on or where you're focused on for your client base. We'll be able to share that with you guys as part of like the take home that we can get through this webinar. Through this assessment, it helps you identify, and again, a self-reflection of your business, what areas of opportunities you have to build upon. And we even give you some conversational starters for you to consider, like I did in this presentation, to begin the communication lines with your clients. Remember, many of you already do a lot of advising and consulting. What we're showing you and what we're hoping to take the next step to is to proactively and consciously make those conversational pieces happen and consciously make appointments, proactively searching out these information and strategically talking with your clients one-on-one. Through Rippling, we actually do offer an accountants program that I lead. Very, very thrilled to be able to present that we're helping our have happier clients because we're reducing their busy work. We help you win and retain more clients because we show you how you can expand your services and revenue models by offering clients modern solutions like the PEO offering that we have, or even hardware and account provision on the IT side that we discussed. We're also able to help you and your clients increase client satisfaction because we're solving for more of the pain points that your clients are generating. And we're even putting them on modern systems that allows them to really take advantage of the remote trends that are going to continue to shift and are going to be permanently here moving forward. And we streamline your book by seamlessly helping you out and supporting your move of clients between solutions, whether they're in a basic all-in-one solution, the need for advanced solutions come into place, or they're joining in through our PEO. We're here for you and for your clients, no matter what stage that they are. We have several ways that we partner with you through a referral program, a reseller program, or even our latest is a wholesale partner program. So no matter what stage and no matter what way you deliver services to your clients and how you work with your clients, we're here to not only help you demo Rippling, train you and your team on the successes of Rippling, and also make sure that your clients are supremely satisfied with the platform that's going to allow their business to continue to grow and not have to worry about shifting platforms at any time and point. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today and learning a lot about our services and about these CAS trends and how they're impacting everything that's going around. I'm going to open it up to Q&A right now. If you guys have any specific questions, I'd also love to hear your thoughts and opinions about the trends that are happening in CAS and how they are continuing to shift. And maybe if you've seen those actually occur in your day-to-day operational being as well.
Okay, we do have one question so far, and it is, can TPA payment and reporting be sent through Rippling?
Great question. Yes, we can show you how to do that. I would highly recommend going through the demo with us so that we can show you specifically in our application what that looks like.
Perfect. All right, anybody else with questions, please go ahead and enter them into the box. Joel,
yes, and just as a reminder, this is a conversational piece, and hopefully, as you kind of continue to go through this, it prompted you that you already have these thoughts about talking to your clients. We just want to facilitate these conversations through Starting Point. So feel free to reach out to us. We're ready and able and willing to kind of help you guys out, just kind of steer you and show you this modern system in Rippling that allows you to do that. But more so than anything, we're looking to help smart people really solve for hard problems. So let us know how we can help.
Okay, we got another one in. We have, is Rippling easier to use than Zenefits?
I mean, I'm a little biased, but I would say yes. But more so than more than that is it's not. If it's a different product. The UI you would notice is very easy to manage, and the way that it integrates with everything else is really unique. To answer the question, I would say yes, it's easier to use. I think it's more comprehensive and it's more complex, and the way that it's thought about in terms of a solution just makes more sense as a whole. I'd love the opportunity to kind of showcase it to you. Feel free to reach out to us and we can set up some one-on-one time so I can show you what the differences are and how many of the clients that we've had have taken advantage of this.
Okay. Document collection is obviously a pain, but a lot of clients don't view it as a cost, so they aren't incentivized to invest in making it better. Do you have advice about how to make the cost more concrete to a business?
Definitely. I would say, first of all, we wouldn't be adding that as a service line by itself. I would probably think about it as part of your activities that you put on your agreement or your original agreement or engagement letter with an individual client, and explain to them the ROI behind it. So yes, you're right. Most of the time they say like, hey, it doesn't take me a long time to collect this document. But it's not just that in terms of document collection. It's not only getting the initial documentation, it's other things such as, hey, I lost my check. I need a new bank account. I got a new bank account. Who's doing this? How many email chains are going back and forth? Oh, write down the account number. When is that getting updated for my direct deposit? There's all these underlying questions that most of these business owners are not concerned about or don't think about. So it is a cost saving for them to be able to have your employees self-serve that information. It is a cost saving in terms of securely saving those documentations on there. So I would say it's not a matter of showing them that collecting documents is hard. It's more of a making sure that they are aware that the time that they're spending, whether it's 15 minutes that they perceive, it's more like 45 or an hour through emails, through contacts, through phones. But it's that time that they're spending on that manual process that's preventing them, or it's taking away time from other revenue generating activities. And that's the perspective that I would say to you to share with your business owner. Don't see it as a cost, see it as an added value time. I'm giving back you an hour of your time, every single employee that needs to get a change. I'm giving you back 4 hours to do onboarding because the onboarding takes 90 seconds or 5 minutes. I'm giving you back that time. And that is when you can pose how much do you value your time? Is it worth $50? Is it worth $200? And that's the conversation that you want to change the perspective to.
All right. My bookkeeping employees are experienced in remote work because I have had a flexible game plan for each client from the start. However, my clients' businesses are hands-on like construction, so their employees cannot work remotely. What processes can we implement to keep their employees engaged with management and admin via their smartphones?
Awesome question. So first of all, every single employee does have access to an application with Rippling so that they need changes. So whether they're offering benefits as an employer or not, they can actually see all their benefit selections and create new changes that occur throughout the process directly from the application. They can have access to change their direct deposit, add direct deposit information, changes and modified state and tax withholdings. There's opportunities that we can actually integrate directly with employee promotional tools or applications as well. So there's a slew of things that we can actually add benefit to on the employer and the employee side as well. Again, removing that day-to-day operation. Most of the time in construction, because they're all face-to-face when they're working, one of the common things that occurs is like, hey, I need to switch my bank account. Great. So that construction employee has to then take the time to go to their manager or to their lead or their supervisor or the HR department and then tell them that they need to switch. They need to give them a copy of a voided check, or they need to like write it down somewhere and fill in a form. And that secretary or that admin is taking on that form. All this is like wasted time that they usually don't take care of until, guess what? My paycheck is tomorrow. So now it's important to me and I'm going to go do. So removing that barrier of time that they don't have or that they don't see important to, because all they see is like, I'm going to give you the number today, you pay me tomorrow. Whereas we know that it's not as simple as just giving the bank account number immediate, like one day, and like in the next minute I have a paycheck. So it's about explaining that process where we remove those barriers so that we can get that done more efficiently. Great question.
All right. And are all documents housed within Rippling?
Yes, all the documents are housed within the Rippling's document tab or section. In fact, you can even upload your own offer letters, upload your own documentation. Some of my clients have actually used the document section to track write-ups. So if their employees are, need to be written up or notified, they upload a Word document, they add an employee signature and employee date so that they recognize that they've received and they kept it on there as well. They've also uploaded acknowledgements for COVID protocols as they're returning back to actual on-site work so that they upload a PDF or upload a Word documentation, add a signature line on there so that the employees are aware and they've been acknowledged that they actually have the processes and protocols done. So it's a great centralized way to keep all the standard documentation that you need as a business or they need as a business, as well as any ad lib ones that you need to add to it.
Very good. Well, those are all the questions we have. I just want to say thank you so much, Joel. And I will, in the follow-up email with the recording and the presentation copy, I'll put your contact information so they can reach out to you directly.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for taking some time today and bettering the knowledge that you have. And I hope to hear things from you as well. You can look me up on LinkedIn or Twitter. I love the engagement and the conversations that can come out. I look forward to hearing what trends you guys see and how it's affecting the accounting industry as well.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Joel, and thank you everyone for joining us. I will get those follow-ups to you guys later today. And I just want to say, I hope you all have a great day and hope to see you at the next Insightful Accountant webinar. Have a good one.
Bye.